It's August 23rd, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a fur trapper who refused to die, a famous statue repeatedly attacked and rebuilt, and a missing child made even stranger by DNA nearly a century later. Let's begin. On August 23rd, 1823, somewhere along the Grand River in present-day South Dakota, fur trapper Hugh stepped too close to a grizzly bear and her cubs. The bear struck before he could escape, tore in his back, crushed his leg, and left his body so badly mangled that the men traveling with him were certain he was going to die. 2 companions were ordered to remain behind, bury him, and return with his rifle. But as danger closed in, they took his weapons and supplies and abandoned him without a grave. Glass was still breathing. Alone and unable to stand, he set his broken leg, allowed maggots to consume the dead flesh in his wound, and began crawling toward Fort Kiowa. For weeks, he dragged himself nearly 200 miles of wilderness, surviving on roots, berries, and whatever he could scavenge. Then, like a dead man walking, Hugh reached the fort alive. He was left for dead, and when he arrived, he even went looking for the men who had left him to die. On August 23rd, 1913, a small bronze figure was unveiled beside Copenhagen's harbor. She was the Little Mermaid, inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's tragic fairy tale. Yet the real story surrounding her would become strangely violent. Brewer Carl Jacobsen commissioned sculptor Edvard Eriksson to create a statue. A ballerina modeled her face, while Eriksson's wife posed for the body. Standing barely 4 feet tall, the mermaid seemed harmless, silent, and easy to overlook. But then, people began attacking her. In 1964, vandals sawed off her head, which was never recovered, and in 1948, they cut her arm away, and it was returned days later. In 1998, she was beheaded again, and then in 2003, an explosion hurled the heavy bronze figure from her rock into the harbor. She had been drenched in paint, covered in graffiti, and transformed into a target for political protest. But each time she was broken, Copenhagen restored her. More than a century later, the Little Mermaid still watches the water, silently waiting for whatever comes next. On August 23rd, 1912, 4-year-old Bobby Dunbar vanished beside Louisiana's Swayze Lake. Searchers dragged the water and combed for the surrounding swamps, but found no trace of him. 8 months later, authorities discovered a traveling handyman named William Waters. The Dunbars declared that their missing son had returned. Then another mother appeared. Julia Anderson insisted the child was actually her son Bruce, who she had temporarily entrusted to Walters. But Julia had little money and no legal power. She lost the custody battle, and Walters was convicted of kidnapping, and the boy was taken away to be raised as Bobby Dunbar. For nearly a century, the case remained as a miraculous reunion, but then in 2004, Bobby's descendants turned to DNA. The results revealed that the man raised as Bobby had no biological connection to the Dunbar family. He was almost more certainly Bruce Anderson. One family had welcomed the wrong child home, while another lost a son they could never reclaim. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.